Are you looking for a way to make a real difference in mental health? Thank You Life is here to help. They are a nonprofit dedicated to making evidence based mental health therapies accessible to those who need it most. At Thank You Life, they provide financial assistance for ketamine assisted psychotherapy, helping individuals struggling with treatment resistant depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Their mission is to eliminate financial barriers to these life changing treatments and ensure everyone has the opportunity to heal. And the results speak for themselves. Their data shows that the average beneficiary experiences a 55% reduction in symptoms, which is on par with the broader ketamine research that we see. If you're in private practice or own a business and want to learn more about how you can help your local community, connect with them today, thankyoulife.org, or email them at partnerships@thankyoulife.org. Again, that's thankyoulife.org, or email them partnerships@thankyoulife.org. Thank You Life, healing through accessibility. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1035. Awesome. We've been doing Level Up Week all week long. We have been talking about how do you level up a solo practice? How do you start a group practice? How do you grow a group practice? All these sorts of things. We are going to be talking big picture and small picture today, all about growing by 100% in the next year. And so if that sounds good to you, you are in the right place. If maybe you've never thought about that, well, hopefully we open your mind a little bit. Well, first, I don't want to assume that all of you know who I am. I'm Joe Sanok, and I started Practice of the Practice back in 2012. I had started mental wellness counseling in 2006 and really started to amp it up in 2009. It was sort of the side gig thing where I saw a couple clients a week, and then started to be more of a side gig thing in 2009. And then in 2015, ended up leaving my full-time job as a community college counselor to do it full-time. At that point, I had 4 or 5 other clinicians that were already working under me. And at the peak, we had 13 clinicians, entirely private pay, all 1099s. I would probably structure that different now if I were to start from scratch and start another group practice, probably a W-2 based model to get people in there and maybe even accept some insurance. But started a podcast back in 2013. We get about 70,000 listens a month. We do 3 episodes a week. We're looking at maybe adding a 4th starting in June. I'm also a writer. I like playing music. I do improv. I started actually a long form improv group where we ask the audience for a ridiculous weapon and a ridiculous place to get killed. And then we create a 45 minute, 60 minute or so play right there on the spot. We just had a performance on Sunday, and it was getting murdered with, what was it? It was in a laser tag arena, and it was with a microphone. So, very fun thing for me. I just don't think about, work or anything when I'm doing improv. So I remember back when I was a foster care supervisor. This would have been circa 2009. So I got my master's degree in 2004, but I had been working in residential facilities and with at-risk kids since 1998. So 1998, started working with angry kids kind of throughout my undergrad, and then ended up getting hired as a foster care supervisor in 2009. And I remember doing these 40 plus hour weeks, having to have this extra cell phone that I carried all the time with me, in case there was something that came up. Couldn't really ever go to a family outing or go out with friends and have drinks because I was on call all the time as a supervisor. And I got so stressed out that my eye just started twitching. It was so weird. I never experienced anything like that, where it was just twitching. And then I was also doing my private practice at the same time, and I had no end in sight. It just felt like, with my side gig that was barely, paying off student loan debt, I might put, $1,000 a month extra into that. And it felt like it wasn't making a dent in the student loan debt, was barely making ends meet as a foster care supervisor. And I saw no end in sight at all. Something my dad had said to me is, if you get good grades, someone will always hire you. I remember it was saying, it seems like there's so many psychology majors, here in college as I was in undergrad. How are all these people going to get jobs? And he's basically said, if you're the best, then you'll always have a job. which is good advice from a father. I appreciate that. But it was from the narrative of that generation that if you do well, someone will hire you. If you do well, you'll get a pension, you'll get good employment benefits, you'll make enough to be able to pay for your family. You'll be able to do these things on a regular employee salary. Now, just the other day, I looked at, there was this infographic that looked at during the Great Depression, the percentage of salary that went towards housing, went towards food, went towards transportation as a percent. And actually, we're about 3 times more expensive now than during the Great Depression in regards to percentage of income that goes into things. It's really shifted. Things have shifted where having your own business and running your own business really is one of the few ways that you can have more control over your life, that you can have more control over how you get ahead. And so a lot of us have started our own practices. We want to, in some way, choose our own destiny. Of course, there's always things outside of our control. We're always reliant on society and the government and insurance companies and things like that outside of our control. But to the best of our ability, we can do more when we're on our own. I still remember when I was thinking about leaving the community college. One of my best friends, Taylor, we were roommates in college. We actually used to get babysat together when we were little kids, which we didn't really know until we were in college. But we're still friends. We walk almost every Monday together. He's still at the community college. I'm not. But as I was thinking about leaving, he said, a few different things. One thing was people way dumber than you have been successful in business, which I thought was such a wise statement. It obviously has stuck with me. People way dumber than you have been successful in business. And he also said, do you trust yourself to give yourself a raise more than the college? And when I thought about it, it's like, yeah, if I want to make 5% more next year or 10% more or double next year, I trust my ability to do that a lot more than relying on the college or relying on an employer. So a lot of us are in this field and we start kind of in a place that not a lot of business people start. Where we start is we're in this to help people. We went into the field of counseling because we want to help people. We want to be able to, change people's lives. We believe that people aren't stagnant. If we did, we shouldn't be in therapy. We believe that there's opportunity. Sometimes we're told we're not here to make money. I know I was told that in grad school. I know that, a lot of the social work or counseling programs, push that narrative that, if you make money, you're somehow bad. Now, I'm personally of the opinion that money magnifies what's already there. If you're a cruddy person, you start making more money, you're going to be a cruddier person. And if you're a great person that cares about the world, like I would say most of us probably are, if not all of us, then you're going to do more of that. You're going to want to give people, fair benefits. You're going to want to help expand your practice into the community. You're going to take on private pay people, and you're also going to take on, sliding fee split people or, insurance-based people. You may take a really low-paying insurance because it's good for your community. As soon as we're told that it's worth the hard work, you're changing the world. It's worth that 50-hour week. We've been told that if you take on this student loan debt, you'll have a job that more than pays for it. Younger Gen Xers and older millennials probably don't believe that. The debt that we took on through going to college is not always an equal equation like maybe it's been for previous generations. We've also been told that if you work hard, you can get a starter home, then live the American dream. I just look at, I got really lucky, as an older Gen Xer. I'm right on the cusp between Gen X and millennial. I bought my first home in 2008, during the Great Recession and got the first time homebuyer tax credit. That's when a lot of people, that follow me were just getting out of college. They didn't even have their master's degrees yet. And so, starting behind in so many ways, a lot of what we've been told is no longer the case. So we have to say, where can we start? Where can we move forward? And what can we do for ourselves with this practice while also relying on others and trying to better society? So the truth is that things aren't how they used to be. If we don't change, our life won't change. A lot of those narratives that were true for kind of my, generation, or what we were told in that narrative. And that's not even talking about minority communities or, the differences in power and privilege and all of that. That's, a bigger topic too. A lot of how it used to be, that narrative that if you go get a good job and do that, it's just going to work out. Or even just being able to sign up to be on insurance panels. So today we're talking about that change. We're going to reset together. We're going to say, what is the truth? We're going to recalibrate. We're going to say, okay, this is where I'm at. Where am I headed? What are opportunities? What are ideas? What are ways of thinking about things that are different? We're going to plan together, not just through my slides, but also, as you ask questions at the end, as you dig in, as you say, "Oh, I don't know what my KPIs should be. I don't know what my key performance indicators should be." As I'm talking, you may have questions that pop into the chat, and I am happy to address those as I talk. We're going to dream bigger than maybe we've dreamt before. We're going to think about what would happen if we actually could double our business. What could our impact be on our personal lives? What could our impact be on the people that are working for us and our community? We're going to imagine a different world together. We're going to imagine that we can have all sorts of different types of businesses. Like just even this morning on our group practice panel, we had one person that she is a co-founder. So there's two people that are in a partnership that started a group practice. Another person who has sort of a co-op model, a membership model. We've had people throughout the week talk about W-2s, others about 1099s, that there's lots of models that we can imagine and dream differently than maybe we have even known we could. And then we're going to share. I want to hear from you. What's working for you? Put that in the chat. If there's things I say that resonate, put an emoji in there, put a reaction out there so that we know that you're being impacted by what you're learning. So how does that sound? Are you ready to challenge what you've been taught and grow into a new way of thinking and growing? If so, this is the time for you right now. So let's talk about why grow by 100%. So a lot of people in their business will talk about how we want 5% growth next year, 10% growth next year. But that's just as arbitrary as 100%. It's a clear and measurable goal. If we double what we do in a year and say to our team, we want to double in a year, that's very, very, very clear. It's reasonable. You think about where you're at now. We're going to talk about different ways to bring in different income, to serve more people. It actually is reasonable. We have worked with so many people that started their practice with Next Level Practice, and now within just a couple of years are 7-figure practice owners. The idea of going from 50K to 100K, or 100K to 200K, or 2 to 4, or $500,000 to $1 million, those really aren't that big of jumps when you look at the data, and they already probably have a lot of these systems. Lastly, it's inspiring. We need that kind of moonshot that JFK was like, by the end of this decade, we're going to be on the moon. To be able to say, you know what? I'm going to grow by 100% this year. I'm going to double what I did compared to last year. I want to do that. It's clear, it's reasonable, and it's inspiring. So how do you grow by 100%? Oftentimes in these things, we build it up, and then the last slide is how to do it. I'm going to tell you right from the beginning. We're going to talk through just some of these things. You can double your clients. That's the easiest way. You just double your clients. If you're at 15 clients, see 30 clients. That's all you got to do. Just see more people. You can double your rates. This is an area that a lot of therapists have a hard time with, is doubling your rates. If you're at $100, being at 200 is not that big of a jump. Now, if you're at 350, jumping to 700, that might be a little bit bigger jump. But for a lot of you, you're jumping up by $5, $10 a year. That's not even keeping up with inflation. And so when you make a jump, we want to at least jump by $35. So if you're at 125, jump up to 175. When you're about 60% full, that's when you want to really massively raise your rates for your private pay clients that are coming in new. And then every year on the 1st of January, you're going to send out a letter in November talking about how you're going to be raising your rates on January 1st. You're going to send out a letter saying, current clients are paying $225 per session. Right now, you're paying $125 per session. So as of the 1st of January, to get closer to realigning, your rate's going to go up to $175. So maybe you don't fully go up, but you're still going up over time with those big jumps. Hiring clinicians. Hiring clinicians is one of the best ways to scale. When you're early and you have very few costs and there's not a whole lot that you need to do, you're going to typically see about a 30 to a 35% profit margin off of the cost of having that person and then the admin it takes to keep it going, because you already are paying the rent. You already are paying for most of the things other than, say, the EHR and maybe a little bit more web hosting and a few other infrastructure things. So when you have your first 2 or 3 people, your baseline costs really don't go up. And so if anything, you're more efficient and you have a better profit margin. So you figure for every 3 sessions at 33%, every 3 sessions that person does, that's the equivalent of you doing 1 session. So if you're charging $200 a session, that means for every 30 sessions they do, it's like you did 10. And if you're doing, say, 15 or 20, it starts to scale pretty darn quickly. we can start to build passive income. So a lot of folks are taking what they're doing in their practice and they're launching that into an audience outside of their practice. And so I have one consulting client, Kate, who is launching a podcast. Her whole practice, it's completely full. It's been full forever. She specifically helps out people who are dealing with chronic pain, chronic conditions like type 1 diabetes. And she is full all the time. And so, of course, she's going to be adding people into her practice, but she's also starting a podcast. She's going to start building e-courses. She's doing testing around who is the ideal client. Is it a person with chronic illness? Is it their spouse? Is it their parent? So thinking through those types of things, that can start to build passive income. You figure, like, if I just pull out my calculator right now and I say, I want to bring in an extra 100K, divide that by 12 months. Okay. Or actually, if I do 100K and we divide that by 365, that's $274 a day. Okay. So basically, if you sold one e-course for $300 a day and then had a few days that nobody bought it, that would be enough for another 100K. So once you start to build that audience, there's a lot of things that you can do to start to magnify that. You can launch a podcast. Podcasts are a great way to get in front of a new audience, to test things out, to get sponsors, to be able to build extra revenue. Oftentimes when we have just us seeing clients, when you stop seeing clients, when you go on vacation, you're not making money. And unless you've planned ahead, that can feel like quite a hit for you. You're saying, oh my gosh, I'm dropping $4,000 for this vacation, but then I'm also losing, 10 grand this week by not working. So then we get in this cycle of just not work or of working and working and working. Whereas, if we can start to diversify the risk, we can have, a little bit coming in through a podcast, a little bit coming in through courses, a little bit coming in through other clinicians, raising our rates. It starts to add up pretty dang quickly. And lastly, attracting the right client to your practice is going to help you scale because they're going to refer more people. They're going to be happier and just tell more people about it. And they're going to stick with you longer. So we're covering 3 major things today: how to stay motivated as we're looking at doubling, how to get new clients, and how to build the practice of your dreams. So how to stay motivated, it all starts with knowing how your brain works. So in Thursday is the New Friday, I have an entire section. 1/3 of the book is about slowing down and 1/3 of the book is killing it. How do you absolutely slow down and how do you absolutely kill it when it's time to work? So the neuroscience shows us that our best ideas come not when we're maxed out and stressed out, but when we slow down. Like, think about the aha moments you have. It's when you're in the shower. It's when you're out for a walk. I just, between these webinars, took Izzy for a walk, and, I'm practicing training her to not pull on the leash. And so we went for a walk and, that cleared my mind. I just let my mind wander. I thought about all sorts of different things. That's when our big ideas come from. Having a weekend where it's not just in reaction to the previous week, but it's in preparation for the coming week, that we're slowing down in a number of different ways, that we're doing exercises like the +1, -1 exercise, where we're +1, we're adding things into our weekend that makes us feel filled up. So maybe it's, I want to read this fiction for an hour and drink green tea and not have my kids interrupt me. Okay, you need to talk to maybe your partner or your kids about that. You need to plan a little bit. But then let's see, does that +1 really enhance your weekend? Do you enjoy it? Oh my gosh, I feel so much more alive that I just spent that hour for myself. I needed that. Then the -1 is, let's take things off of your plate for the weekend. Are there things like grocery shopping that really don't fill you up? They drain you. Could you do some of that or outsource some of that, through having groceries delivered? So as we start to slow down, our brain is optimized to dive into the right things. Instead of, diving into everything, we're diving into those right things, which then helps us scale up even faster. If you spend a whole week working on the exact things you should be working on and do that week after week, imagine that compared to spending 60% of your time working on the right things. We get there faster. So the first mindset we want to think through is, why are you doing this? And let's be honest about this. Like, what's the impact on you personally, on your family, on your community? So is it for the money? Is it because you want to see what you got inside of you? Is it to be able to impress your parents? Is it because you want more time freedom? You want to be able to be around your kids more? Really starting to think about, where are you currently stressed and what's going on there. So what would an extra 50K do for you each year? What about an extra 100K? Thinking through, okay, is part of this the money? For most of us, it is. That we're not filthy rich. We're not trust fund kids that can just do whatever we want. that we have to work hard, for our lives. And being able to have a six-figure or multi-six-figure or even seven-figure income for a lot of us is like, I can't believe I'm even thinking that way. I think about when I first started working, I started working at this residential facility, and with a double master's degree and graduating with honors, I started at 30 grand. And then the next place I got hired, I got a huge raise. I was making 40 grand. And then at community mental health, I was making 60 grand. And, at the college, I think I made 67 grand. Like that blew my mind at the time when I first started. But then as you start to work, you're like, wow, that like really doesn't go as far as it feels like it would when I was just like a single guy with a master's degree. There's lots of things that come in there. And so thinking about like, what is it that really is motivating this so that we can reverse engineer how to get there. So this is something I've shared in some of the other presentations, but I want to go back to this. This is the group practice repeatable process. So first, we're going to decide on the need of your community. So we need to be paying attention through our executive assistant as to, are there niches that we're getting referrals from that we don't serve yet? Are there times of the day or times of the week that people really want to see a therapist, but we don't serve? So maybe it's weekends. Are there other trends? So I remember we kept getting calls for, do you have anyone nights or weekends that can see teens? And I didn't have anyone on the weekends. I had a couple openings during the week. And so this lady I knew named Sarah, she worked full-time at community mental health. She had to be on call during the week, but Friday at 5:00, she was done. And then until Monday morning. And so we did a contract. She started working for mental wellness counseling. And next thing you know, she's doing a couple Friday evening appointments, Saturday morning until about 1, and then once in a while some Sunday appointments. Now for her family, that was crazy busy for her. But we started a wait list saying, on this date. So say, right now we're recording mid-March. So say I had signed a contract with her. Maybe April 15th is when she's going to come on. So we would say, yeah, April 15th, we have a amazing teen counselor that's coming on board, going to be taking people on Saturday mornings. We can get you scheduled for that first Saturday she's here. So you're creating a wait list, then post and hire the clinician. She and I had already signed the contract, adding her to the website coming April 2024, looking at the operations, the electronic health records, social media, we're promoting it, headshots. We want people that have different connections in the community. Sarah's family were a big real estate family up here. They knew everybody. So when she posted, hey, in April, I'm going to start working at mental wellness counseling. If you know anyone that has, a teen that, is not really kind of moving in the right direction, call this number, schedule an intake with me. And then on the first day, she actually had 4 clients on her first Saturday, 4 on her first. We talk about a good launch. So then when we see that person around that niche, or as a practice, you're at 60% full, we want to repeat this process. Why 60%? Well, you think about it, when you're 60% full, you're probably moving in the right direction. Unless you went from 80% full to 60, then you're going in the wrong direction. But if you're moving in that direction, then we want to start to hire. So it's going to take probably about a month to get it posted, to get it out there, to get some good applications, unless you're constantly taking applications. Okay. Within this process, though, there's some ego and achievement traps, such as, success fueling our sense of self, or I am what I do, or my success equals my sense of self-worth. Also, another popular one is if I slow down, I'm not being productive. I know I just posted a Instagram reel over the weekend on Saturday when I was playing this ridiculous video game I've got totally sucked into. I'm not a video gamer, but I was playing Mario Kart with my kids, and I thought, I want to have something to do other than scroll or read a book. I don't always need to be productive or something. Like, I just want something that's kind of mindless. So I bought this video game, and it has sucked me in. It's a lot of fun, and I did not expect to get sucked in. Like, the dopamine's going crazy. But I remember sitting there being like, yeah, just having a lazy Saturday. I had to keep kind of giving myself permission because, the snow has melted and there's still some leaves that came down from the fall that I could be working on. I'm a single dad, so there's laundry, there's food prep, there's shop. Also, there's always things to do as an adult. And, that idea that I'm not productive if I slow down, I actually think it's good for me to have things in my life that have zero outcome. Improv for me, whether or not I end up on stage or do shows or we make money off of it, like, that's not the goal. Like seriously, the only goal in improv is for me to make myself and my other people doing it laugh. And then there's always that idea of everyone else is outpacing me. They have a better website. Oh, look, they're hiring more than I am. Oh, look, they're, getting recognized in the community as one of the best businesses. Those things don't help you move forward and actually create the practice you actually want to build and the one that you absolutely love. Upheal is an AI-powered platform designed specifically for therapists like us. Now, I know what you might be thinking. AI in therapy, how does that work? Let me tell you, Upheal is a lifesaver when it comes to streamlining your administrative tasks. As therapists, we all know how crucial it is to save time whenever we can. After all, our clients deserve our undivided attention and energy. That's where Upheal comes in. It transcribes, summarizes, and analyzes our therapy sessions, helping us write those detailed progress notes up to 90% faster. Can you imagine saving 6 to 10 hours per week? That's precious time that we can use to see more clients or simply recharge our own batteries. Just a few minutes after you finish a session, you get a pre-drafted, editable progress note, complete with session summary and breakdown of all the topics that were covered. It also provides session analytics that help you measure speech-based metrics like talking ratio, speech cadence, sentiment, and tense. Also, it's 100% HIPAA compliant, making it secure for both therapists and clients. The best part, it's available for all EHRs with their browser extension. So if you're ready to experience the game-changing power of AI in your therapy practice, head on over to upheal.io/Joe and let AI write your therapy notes for you. That's upheal.io/Joe. So we look at kind of the motivation model. We want to walk through a few different questions. So, and you may want to pull out your phone and take a picture of this. This is one that's really good to go back to. First, who am I becoming? Who am I growing into? I know that when I went through my divorce in 2021, I created for myself some guiding principles during that uncoupling. And I wanted to, by the end of that, to say, I gave that marriage my all. I tried the best that I could. Throughout the process of the divorce, I wanted to be able to leave and say that I didn't cause any additional pain to anyone else, whether that was through the divorce or when I eventually jumped into the dating world. I wanted to be honest about my life situation, that I had almost full custody of my kids, not sure if I ever want to get married again. Here's just what my life looks like. I had to have some of those ethics in my head of who am I becoming through this really ridiculous uncoupling. It was a hard time. But in that, by asking myself, who am I becoming? What are some ethics that I have that I don't want to cause more pain? The world's painful enough. I don't want to be a part of someone else's pain unless it's accidental or unintentional. Okay. Same thing with our motivation with our practice. Who am I becoming as a practice owner? What's the vision I have here? How is this helping the world in a different way? Next, what 1 to 3 steps will take me down that road? So what's going to help me get there? What's going to help me move slightly in that direction? When we do one-on-one consulting with Practice the Practice, and most of our consulting clients appreciate this. A couple of them have said, they want it different. We usually do 30-minute consulting sessions every other week so that people can take a bite size of the consulting, go implement it, and then come back and get feedback instead of doing these 2-hour, 3-hour consulting sessions that some consultants do. I want you to take the 1 to 3 steps. Just take those next steps. You don't need to see beyond the flashlight in the darkness. Just take those. Next, we want to look at how will I review and recognize success. Oftentimes, we set these goalposts and we say, I can't wait to have 3 clinicians that are full. And then you get there and you don't review it. You don't realize what you've done. You don't recognize success. You don't celebrate. You don't say, oh my gosh, look at this. You say, okay, let's add a 4th. Let's fill them up. Instead of 5th, the goalposts keep moving. That's not healthy. We want to be able to celebrate what you've done. You've done something mind blowing. Even, there's a lady, Aubrey, earlier in the week who had just filed her LLC 30 minutes before the webinar. We should celebrate that. You are on the path to starting a practice. That's incredible. Now, Aubrey might look at the rest of Next Level Practice and say, oh my gosh, I'm the newest person here. Good. You have a lot of people to learn from. Instead of feeling intimidated by that, we want to be able to feel invigorated by it. Next, we want to look at how does my energy change throughout the day and the week? For myself, I know by the time 10 o'clock rolls around, that's when my coffee kicks in. That's when I'm ready. I am hitting the pavement. So that's why usually at 9:30, I don't schedule consulting clients. I don't schedule really big mental tasks. It's stuff that's going to kind of ease me in. That's why here with Level Up Week, we changed it up from how we've done it in the past. In the past, a session would end and we'd often have like another session just like the next minute. And I was just like back to back to back. This time, we gave you a break. We did a 10 to 11 and then an 11:30 to 12:30 and then a 1 to 2 and then sometimes a 2:30 to 3:30 when we did 4 in a day. And so it gave me a sense of, okay, I'm not just like dying and like eating between sessions. Like, yeah, I looked at my energy. You need to look at your energy. So when should you be doing progress notes? When should you be doing creative work? When should you be doing HR types of things? When should you be doing marketing? Those biggest picture tasks, we want to be doing those when you have your best energy. We want you to be able to be excited and invigorated and using that best energy for the things that are going to help you scale in a different way. Next, we want to say, how do I decide to put in more or less time to my tasks and goals? So how are you evaluating what's on your plate? And what should I do versus someone else or delete? One analogy I often use is we've got our plate. Is your plate full? If it's full, now is not the time to do something new. Now is the time to take things off that plate. Because if you add a podcast to an already full plate, you're going to do a really crappy job on that podcast. If you add another clinician to your practice when you're already full, you're going to do a really bad job onboarding that person and probably piss them off and they're not going to want to stay at your practice. So instead, we need to take things off your plate. We probably need to hire a virtual assistant. We need to outsource some billing, outsource the IT, outsource the cleaning, get those things off your plate so you can just do as much as you can that you're good at. So then when you have that free time, that extra 5 hours a week or so, you can actually put it into hiring that person, put it into doing that podcast. So making sure we're taking things off the plate. Now, when it comes to getting new clients, when we're looking at doubling our revenue, we want to really drill into that niche. So what is it that you help people achieve? What's that pain that they come to you with? And what's the outcome that you're promising as a result of therapy? And getting into that niche and getting connected in that niche, getting training in that niche, getting known in that niche, getting quoted in national magazines around that area, networking and connecting with people that are in that specialty, but that are also not in that specialty. The people in it are going to get full at some point and need to refer to you or to your practice. And those that are outside of it are going to look for someone. With our marketing, we had, 2 or 3 of these trainings this week, all on marketing. So you're going to want to be doing that ongoing marketing, that ongoing pay-per-click, that organic marketing, the SEO, the website development, all of that. We want to continually evaluate that user experience. One thing I often see, and I've said this in other webinars, is people on their main page have their contact us. It's not, they don't even make it clinical, like schedule an intake or get started with therapy. It's just like contact us like any other page. No, let's make it therapeutic so people know you are in a therapeutic setting. So schedule an intake. It goes to a page where all it has is just a form. No details about what therapy is, no details on the cost, no sense of like anything other than the contact us form. So say someone doesn't bounce from that page, they submit it. It goes to someone, and maybe 48 hours later, there's an email. That email goes back another 24 hours till that person maybe sees and responds. We're talking 4 or 5 days before you even get a chance to maybe talk to the intake coordinator, let alone get an intake. Whereas the people that are really thriving right now are the ones that have a contact us, like, contact us here if you want to talk, or schedule a time to talk to our intake coordinator to get started quickly. And they have times that day, like, hey, I can talk to, Shannon in the front office in 30 minutes. She's going to give me a call and get me scheduled for my intake. That's the kind of thing where when we remove those barriers, those are the practices that fill up quickly, because that's a missed opportunity. That's missed money. If that person takes a week or 2 weeks to get in instead of a day, that's a week of therapy. That's a $200 coming into that practice, depending on the cost of that session. And if you do that with 10 or 20 people that are missed and slowed down and have negative experiences, that's thousands of dollars in missed revenue just from not having an easy way to schedule an intake call. And then that follow-up. This is one thing that so many practices miss. Are you following up with those clients to say, hey, how's therapy going? Will you take this survey? Would you like to talk to the owner? Would you like to talk to, our head of client relations? Maybe you have, your front desk person just do some check-ins. Hey, how's it going? Just want to make sure it's still a good fit with Deb. That goes a long way to help people feel like you care about them, because hopefully you do. When we dig into that niche, there's a couple parameters we want to just think through. Like, who is your ideal client? What are the pains they're dealing with? If you can explain their pain better than they would, they assume you have the outcomes and the ability to change it. What's that focus with that niche? When it comes to your networking, who is connected? So as your higher therapists, who are they connected to? Who sees or doesn't see this niche are people that you want to network with? What communities already exist? So parent teacher organizations, yoga, churches, fitness, parent groups. How do you do friend building? Sometimes kind of the more introverted people in our communities are like, I just hate networking. I don't love coming into a room of strangers and it's just being like, hey, Joe Stanok here. Like, nobody likes that. And those that do like it aren't who I want to hang out with. So if you just view it as friend building, as you're connecting with people, you're just learning about them, that to you is going to help over time. I've talked in some of the other webinars about looking at your numbers. So for all the emails you send, how many of those lead to follow-ups? How many of those lead to meetings? And how many of those lead to referrals? When you know those numbers, you can have some predictability to the growth of your practice. When we look at your marketing, we want to have a nice balance between organic, so blog posts, social media, building content, all sorts of other things like that, compared to pay-per-click. Yesterday, Amber talked all about pay-per-click and how then you don't have to do nearly as much marketing and networking, all those other things. We've talked about how Zig Ziglar taught us about how know, like, and trust, that people have to first know you exist. They have to then like you and trust you. And then we want to look at what makes you stand out like no one else. With mental wellness counseling, we did this thing called dinner and a counseling session where we were able to get a deal on a dinner coupon. And for a low price, about the cost of a regular intake, people were able to get a gift card for a dinner as a couple. So they would come to a counseling session and then get a gift card. We had one couple sign up for this, which on the surface sounds like, that's not really like that great of a marketing campaign. But for probably about 6 months, at least weekly, someone would say, Joe, I saw that dinner and a counseling session thing. Such a brilliant idea. We were interviewed by the local paper, local radio. We have this daily thing called the ticker, which is, this email that goes out on kind of hot things in the area. We were in that. So we got all this free advertising where mental wellness counseling's name was on it as this innovative leader that was doing dinner and a counseling session. To me, it doesn't matter that we only got one couple. I mean, that couple ended up coming for like 20 sessions or so. So a lot of lifetime value there. But that made us stand out as innovators that were different, that were doing things out of the box. When you look at your website, your blog, your SEO, your social, like what is wasting your time? Where are you spending time on things that really you should outsource? And that's as you grow. We want to move away from that do it yourself. We want to move away from that bootstrapping, start to outsource as much as possible. We look at that user experience. We want to look at how do they find you, marketing, networking, and then what happens next. I frequently talk about how that's all there is really to a practice is how do people find you, and then what happens next. There's a lot that goes under that what happens next. You've got all your progress notes and you've got your billing and you've got all those things. But if we can just think about that, it allows us to simplify it and say, what is that user experience? I talked about the contact form, scheduling intakes and sessions, and completion. When people are done with therapy, do you ever follow up with them? Do you check in? Do you do any sort of exit survey? Those are all things that can enhance that user experience. Next, we want to look at follow-up. Like when they don't come back, what happens after a few sessions, how to ask for referrals, and networking with a quarter by quarter plan. So as you build the practice of your dreams, we were given a model that no longer works for everyone. But what we can do is we can imagine and create a different future. We can visualize the space. We can think about who are we seeing, who are we not seeing, and why. We want to look at that amount in our bank account and imagine that it's more. I don't necessarily believe in the whole I'm going to manifest $1 million into my bank account, but what we focus on happens. If you're thinking about buying a red Chevy truck, you start looking around and you see a bunch of red Chevy trucks. Or if you're thinking about buying a Tesla, you notice all the Teslas. So what we focus on, we often notice and do more of when it's front and center. We want to think about how do you feel after a busy week? Like, do you feel invigorated? I know for me, this week doing 4 days of webinars, yes, I'm tired. My brain is a bit drained, but I feel invigorated. I feel excited. I love talking about this stuff. I love hearing from all of you saying, this is amazing. It's so helpful. This is the kind of training we need. It gets me excited about the communities. We want to have a business where you are excited about what you're doing, where you are there saying, yeah, this is awesome what I built. Even earlier today, when we were talking, there was a therapist that her group practice was specifically helping people that kind of don't fall into the regular categories, the misfits, she said. And just being able to say, I have a practice where I help misfits. If that's your jam, that's awesome. And what do people in the community say about your practice? That's really where the branding, where that rubber hits the road. Of what's your reputation? It's what people say about you when you're not there. You can do this. Schedule the total hours you want to work. So if you aren't full yet and you want to be at, say, 25 sessions a week and you're not there, that's going to be probably 25 sessions a week plus 5 to 10 hours. Don't just do laundry. Don't just work on other things. Still work that 30 to 35 hours a week in all those other areas. If you eventually want to work 25 hours a week and you're not there yet, I want to challenge you to look ahead and see when you can start taking even every other Wednesday off or every other Friday off. Can you start doing that next month to start to cram things together a little bit more? We talked a little bit about the neuroscience of being more productive, of changing the environment that you're in based on the tasks. Vigilance decrement, which we covered in other webinars, where science has showed us that even just taking a 1-minute break every 20 minutes completely eliminates vigilance decrement. So vigilance, how well we pay attention to something. Decrement, meaning going down over time. We can eliminate that going down over time, that decrement, by just taking a 1-minute break every 20 minutes. That +1, -1 helps us slow down and be rejuvenated. And then scheduling that time to actually slow down. For me, I have to get it in my calendar to do the things that slow me down. So I knew I was going to have a busy week. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I have a massage scheduled. It's in my calendar. I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to no-show on Alyssa, the massage therapist. So putting those things in our calendar and making sure that we do it. If you are ready to level up, but you're confused where to start, our communities are for you. We've helped over 2,500 therapists to start and grow their practices. I owned a practice for 15 years and sold it, and then now have done consulting for the last 10 years. We've won 9 top consultant podcast and website awards from the Best of Therapy Awards, and our members have collected over $25 million in sales. Our memberships are open till next Thursday. And we want you to join us. We know over and over, we hear from our members that they say, we wish we had joined sooner. We wish we knew how great this program is. We have so many people that are joining and signing up that we are really excited to help you start, grow, and scale your practice. If you're in solo practice and aren't yet ready to start a group, Next Level Practice is the program for you. So that's $119 per month during this launch. So till next Thursday, you're going to use code NLP40 to get that discount, NLP40 to take $40 off per month. If you sign up for the annual plan, you can go over and use NLP400. It'll take $400 off of that, and you're still going to get 2 months for free. So you only pay for 10 months for a year. Now, if you're ready to start a group practice, and I'd say if you are 50% full in your solo practice, that's when you would want to join Group Practice Launch, because that opportunity is there. You're guaranteed to hire someone in your 6 months within Group Practice Launch. And if you don't, you can go back through the program again, free of charge. So we guarantee that you will make that hire. I mean, you just think about if you had one person that was, seeing one person at $150 a week, over 50 weeks, how much would that be in a year that you would make? And that's incredible. Then after that, you'll go into Group Practice Boss. This is our support program for people that are owners of group practices. In all of our programs, we have a weekly meeting. So Next Level Practice, that's every Wednesday. In Group Practice Launch, you get access to every Thursday meeting plus the Wednesdays. And then as Group Practice Boss, you get every Tuesday, plus you get the Wednesday and Thursdays as well. We have over 30 courses within there that you can go through at your own pace. We recommend what we call the 3-2-1, that 3 times a month you're posting in our membership community circle, getting questions answered, helping other people out. Twice a month, you come to one of the live events minimum, and then once a month, go through one of the courses. That seems to be about an hour and a half a week of time that you're really digging into the program. And you're doing the right things during that time. You're not just wondering, am I doing it right? You actually know you are doing it right because you're in a supportive community that has your back and has the same goals as you. So we have lots of testimonials from people that have gone through this that just say it enriched them so much that they were able to grow faster, that they were able to kind of lead in a different way. They were supported. But to me, that question is, what's the return on investment for your time? You're going to spend time, searching things, listening to my podcast, bouncing all over the place, trying to figure it out yourself. when people have done what you want to do. I mean, we have all these people that are here live. You've been going through Level Up Week with us. Let's continue this. Let's continue working together so that you can continue to level up. This is only the beginning of getting the information. We want to help you with the implementation. That's where it really starts to help you launch, where it's not just information gathering, but it's putting it into action. You'll get full access to Circle once you sign up to start asking questions, get access to all of those courses and all the live events coming up. And we have some major bonuses during this launch. We have a 90-day money back guarantee. So if after 90 days, you're like, oh, this isn't for me, we rarely have to give money back. But if you don't have, say the desire to have a practice anymore, or you find that, your mom is sick or something like that, we are happy to give you that money back. It's in our best interest to see you be successful. And that's why we have such a great reputation with this, is we have helped people start solo practices and thrive in that, then transition into starting a group practice, and then transition into being a group practice boss. You're going to get an exclusive welcome party as well, and our staff wage calculator, our networking course, marketing course, and our paperwork packet that our attorney put together. That's to help you go to your attorney and say, here's a starting point that hopefully save you, a few hundred, if not thousands of dollars. If you don't sign up, who's supporting you? How are you going to get this stuff done? Because to me, when you're in community with people that have similar goals, that idea that all ships rise with the tide, that same idea with us, that we are a community doing this together, helping each other grow and scale and get to that next level. So when you join one of our communities, you're going to get solid teachings that are going to lead you to action, a community that's going to support your goals, and tools of the trade to move forward faster. I'm going to take some questions now about both doubling your practice, but also any of the memberships. Make sure that you open this tab, practicethepractice.com/membership. This is our last teaching with Level Up Week. Next week, I have 3 Q&As. If you have any questions about memberships, you can swing by there, ask me some questions. We'll dig in to see if it's a good fit. It's not a hard sell. To me, if it makes sense from a return on investment for your time and money, awesome. If not, then maybe next round. So let's dig into some of these questions here. I see we've got some chat. Give me just a second. Let's see what we got. Got Jen putting that link in there. All right, first question here is, I own the building where I practice. Currently, at least 7 offices, and I have 1 vacant. I have a lot of space to grow. It is run as a collaborative with admin included in the lease. I have 1 in-person full-time admin, 1 in-person part-time admin, 1 part-time VA. I have all the systems in place, physically and logistically, mostly. I'm 100% full. I've attempted to hire and have been unlucky finding anyone. I do take insurance, but would like to reduce to accepting only 1 rather than all major panels. However, everyone leasing takes insurance and charges low rates. That seems to drive the clients who contact the office. I feel frozen. I don't know where to start making the transition to my group from the collaborative group. Sean, I would love to have you join me and ask a couple follow-up questions. I have some ideas, but I also would love to just kind of dig in a little bit if you're up for that. If you are, go ahead and unmute, and I can add you on here if you're. Oh, awesome! Let me add the spotlight. There we go. Welcome. Thanks for chatting. So. I think one of the things that comes to mind right away is that, you've created something that competes with yourself. It sounds like. So is the branding for when people call, like, do you have your own branding outside of the collaborative?
Yes.
Okay. What does that look like? Do you have your own practice, website and things like that outside of kind of coming through the front desk?
Yes.
Okay. And then when those calls come in through the admin, how does that admin decide who gets what calls?
The first question people ask is usually, do you take my insurance?
Okay.
The first question asked, and I have gone over with them to, I don't remember if it was one of your trainings or one in productive, the productive therapist, but to ask, give me a little bit more information, what it is that you're looking for, so we can make sure it's the right fit. But our population that seems to contact the office is really driven by their insurance.
And how do you view owning the building, and how do you view owning your practice? Are you trying to just kind of make whatever mortgage you have on the building every month? Are you trying to make 20%? What's your financial goals as a landlord?
So I bought I used to lease here. And so the person who owned it was ready to retire. Had been here for several years. And when she was ready to retire, she brought, she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna sell the building. Are you interested in buying?" And I said yes, because the people that lease here have been here a long time. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do that." And at the time, it was more for stability, that like
Mhm.
I can run this place.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, and I've listened to more podcasts, that's money. Those people in those other offices, they pay me a set amount every single month that does cover the mortgage and it does cover the admin. And yet, if I have a Spanish speaking, because my last name being Quintanilla, I don't speak, I say hola, and that's about it. So if somebody calls the front office asking for a Spanish speaking client, that's income I have lost. It's going to somebody else. I'm going to
Mhm.
get the lease, but it's not my money. And yet I'm the one putting in all the time with the building.
Yeah.
So I would like to make the transition that if I'm going to refer to someone Spanish speaking, that money is still my money. And I want to work
Mhm.
less. I am 100% full with a waiting list. And I obviously waited too long to do this.
Mhm.
Um, and I kind of in my mind have an idea of where to go, but then I get frozen when I start thinking about exactly how to make it happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And are you in group practice, boss? Are you thinking about it? Or you're not sure?
Not group practice boss. I was thinking of doing the group practice launch, but I didn't know if I quite fit there even.
Yeah.
Because
Because
I
yeah.
have
No, I
all of
think
the
it makes
people.
sense. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I knew where you were. I think group practice launch would be a better fit to hire your first person. What are you charging per session? Being that you're completely full.
Right now 125, but I'm also on all the major insurance panels, and that is where most of my income comes from. No, I
Okay.
don't. I do 150. Everybody else does 125. And
Okay.
so, and I mean, I'm highly trained, highly
Yeah.
educated. I should be making more.
Yeah, I would right away for your private pay be at like 195. Like, don't worry about competition. I think one way to think through it is, if you weren't renting in that building, like, would you be happy that the people renting from you are thriving? Yeah. I mean, you want the businesses to be successful there. So their success shouldn't inform your own business's success, I would say, as a landlord. I think if you were then in a collective like that and you weren't the landlord, you'd then say, well, how can I grow this differently? And so I think there's kind of two hats that you're wearing, and they're somewhat in conflict with each other, which I think is part of what's going on. So the fact that they're full, they're doing well, that shows that you have a business that they would value and they want to give money to for all the services you offer. So I wouldn't worry about that competition as much as how do you build your image and what your practice is as something that's independently known, and maybe even have a different phone number that comes into the same admin, but that it just feels like it's only your practice. Because I'm wondering how many clients come in that would have been yours or could be a contractor or a W-2 that then get siphoned off to somebody else. So I would really want to kind of look at that user experience, and to say, like, how does that all happen? Does it feel like if you've brought in someone from your website and then it goes into this number and it ends up with someone else, how often is that happening? Because I wouldn't want that to happen. I'd want you to have kind of a separate number, separate branding, all of that.
I think it happens quite often because when I start having a little bit of space, I start having returning clients come. I haven't taken
Mm.
like actual new clients in about a year because I
Okay.
get 4 or 5 phone calls a month of people that want to return. They go on my waiting list. And so when I have an opening, it's someone returning that's coming back to me. And
Yeah.
it's got my mind thinking that, like, again, like, yes, I'm competing with myself here.
Yeah. I would say I would view group practice launch is a great place to start. I think then from there, being able to purely have your own branding, your own phone number, that if someone comes in, they then say, I can refer you to someone else that's here. Unfortunately, Sean is full, or, Sean's clinician is full. Let me get back to you. And then that referral happens. So I think having a very clear, like, way that all of that happens would be the best next step. Yeah, I mean, and sorting out, like, how do you think about it as a landlord? How do you think about it as a practice owner? So
I was
cool.
actually in the business. I was looking into another property when she decided. So I was actually going to leave and do everything on my own when
Yeah.
she brought this to me. And
Well, and
so
over time, you
5
may
years
be able to start to take over some of those offices, not take on that lease. You'll probably make more per kind of square foot as you start to take over those offices. But even just if you added someone to your office and started with just when are you not using it? Nights, weekends, Thursdays, whatever time you're not, start there, hire for that. And then you're not taking away from that income, as the owner of the building. That's awesome. Thank you for the question. I see a few more coming in. Want to make sure we hit on those before the end. Next question. Can you talk a little bit more about the difference between next level membership and then group practice launch? I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle of those two. I have a solo practice that I've been running for the past 3 to 4 years and have consistently been at about 60% capacity. Haven't done much marketing at all. So I think what I'm needing to grow and scale up my solo practice before I feel ready to hire more clinicians or launch a group practice. Which membership would you recommend for my situation? So I'd say if in the next 3 to 6 months, you think that you're going to be hiring someone, if you're 60% full, you're right in that spot. I think that a lot of what you would do to grow your practice, you may undo later if you want to do it as a group practice. And so to me, it sounds like the opportunity of what you already have being known in the community, all those different things. You are positioned to start group practice launch if you think in the next 3 to 6 months you're going to do that. Also, if you don't hire someone in the next 6 months, you can go back through it for free. So you can come into this cohort, go through it, and then you get also full access to next level practice during those 6 months. So you're going to get access to that infrastructure building. So if someone points to, hey, you should really do better marketing, you can go take that course in next level practice. So I would say group practice launch would be the best fit. We can also dig in even more in one of those Q&As next week. But I think that would be the best fit because then you're going to have all those skills of adding a clinician, be in that community of people that are just starting to dip their toes into that. And then also still have that full access to next level practice within there. If there's more questions you have on that, happy to jump in. I'm ready to leave my CMH job. Yes. Awesome. And going to private practice full time. What do you think about building a practice through some of the online platforms like Grow Therapy, Brightside, et cetera, that panel you on insurance and help you to market? Or is it better to go on my own right away? A lot of those take a lot of cuts. And then once you're in there, sometimes it's very hard to leave. Alma is the one that I've seen most people have the best kind of success with. I think they have a promo for us because they've been a sponsor, alma.com/Joe, I think. Maybe Jen can grab that. But to me, that can be a good start for you. But also, if you don't want to take insurance, you're not going to want to run all your private pay through that as well. Let me see, Maria, did you have extra questions about that group practice launch question? Was there more that I could have dug into there?
No, I think that explained it. Thank you. I just feel like I'm somewhere in between, but probably like you said, the group launch will be, if anything, I can just take extra time to get there.
Yeah, I think that if you're that established and you think that sometime soon you may want to, I'd say most of our group practice owners say, man, I wish I had started that hiring process sooner. Sometimes that can take a while depending on your community too. So you could be getting that going concurrently while you're working on that infrastructure within your practice. Well, that's a wrap for Level Up Week Spring 2024. It's been so awesome to have you here. Please check your emails for links to those memberships. Make sure that if you are signing up for Next Level Practice, that you use that NLP 40 or NLP 400 to get that discount as well. We're going to be doing this in the fall. That's when our next launch is for our Level Up Week and for our membership. So make sure you jump in now. I think we're about halfway full in regards to our 75. So grab your spot. Oh yeah, quick questions coming in. How long is each monthly meeting? They're always an hour, and then we pepper in some extra ones once in a while too. So usually it's 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. There are a few things with group practice launch because we have 2 of the groups overlapping by a couple weeks, and so they couldn't meet at the same time because one's finishing and one's going. All of the group practice launches start in April. So once you pay, we'll get you onboarded. You'll still get access to the full community. You can start taking all the courses, and then we have 6 months of helping you just dig in. So thank you everyone for hanging out. I will talk with you soon. And thanks for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. And we could not do this show without our amazing sponsors. And our sponsor for today is Upheal Upheal is what I wish I had in my practice. It is a game-changing experience where it brings the power of AI into your therapy practice, where you can have secure progress note, analysis, analytics, and ways that you can do even better and save a ton of time. In fact, up to 6 to 10 hours a week. So you can use AI now to help with your progress notes over at upheal.io/Joe and let AI write your therapy notes for you. That's upheal.io/Joe. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.